Demons seek to gain access to us through traumatic events because we're vulnerable, experiencing pain and hurt. And ultimately, these are moments that can shape us into who we are and how we see the world. So they see it as an ideal way to come in, oppress us, influence us, so we can ultimately get off our walk with God, be shaped into somebody that God never created us to be, and then feel very much justified in being the way that we are, not taking our healing seriously. When I was in Haven, I asked, what are some scriptures that speak about spiritual warfare? And I got Ephesians 6:12. And it spoke about that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and spiritual wickedness in our places. So the next time you're in Haven, you can ask, what are some scriptures that can help me with spiritual warfare? What are some scriptures that can speak about healing on my journey with God? And it'll give you a tailored response to help you dive deep into the word. So that way you're able to understand and be backed up with sound doctrine. But we got to make sure we're taking our healing journey seriously. We got to make sure we're using everything that we go through as an opportunity to grow through. So that's what we got to really just be humble, give everything to God, and do the hard things. Because the hard thing is going to be to forgive the person that hurt you. The hard thing is going to be the person to forgive the person that abused you, forgive the person that cheated on you, forgive the person that neglected you, forgive the person that rejected you. Because ultimately what happens is when we don't forgive, we hold on to that bitterness, and then now we're displaying whatever it is that they projected onto us, onto other people. That's how the saying goes. You bleed on people that never cut you. You know, this is how the saying goes. Hurt people hurt people. I'll give y'all an example. A child that's growing up that feels very much neglected, not seen by their parents. Their parents maybe abuse them or very, very much hard on them. What happens is after a while, that child's going to feel all kind of things. And I'm not saying don't feel nothing. You want to feel everything, but you want to take it to God. Don't take it upon yourself to go about it how you see fit. So a lot of times if a child feel angry, if a child feel rejected, if a child feel very much beat up on, you know, eventually they're going to be like, you know what, I need to stick up for myself. So a lot of times it's not rooted in forgiveness. It's rooted in I need to protect myself. So this is where when we start to use trauma as a navigation system to try to protect ourselves, and we ultimately go about it the wrong way. So now that child who grew up abused and neglected or whatever the case may be, go on to do the same thing. Now he's hard on other people. He don't know how to accept love. He don't know how to love people. You know, and it's not every case, but a lot of times you see generational curses being passed on. You're seeing traumatic things that happen to people's parents being passed on to them. You know, and that's just us going about things the way that we see fit. This is how the bully, the person who got bullied becomes the bully. Because they got picked on, so they're like, nah, this a dog eat dogs world. You either eat or you get your lunch ate, one or the other. So you don't want to become the people that hurt you. You want to do the hard thing, and the hard thing is to forgive. You know, you want to give it to God, you know, so you're going to feel what you feel. I'm not saying don't be mad. I'm not saying don't be sad. But what I'm saying is don't allow trauma to rob you of joy. Don't allow trauma to rob you of peace. Don't allow trauma to rob you of true freedom that God calls us to have. Because we can heal ourselves. It wouldn't take this long. That's why we got to give it to God. You know, when we unforgiving, you know, all it does is just makes us more grumpy, makes us more angry, makes us self-righteous whenever we feel like we got the right to not forgive people. And we robbing ourselves of that joy. We robbing ourselves of that peace. You know, God don't want us to live our lives like that. So come out of agreement with whatever demonic spirit is trying to oppress you, or whatever demonic spirit that got in through any trauma. Anybody that hurts you, you need to forgive them. And you give it to God. You say it out your mouth. Lord Jesus, I forgive them. Lord Jesus, I'm trying to forgive them. Help me to forgive X, Y, and Z. You know, so you can really get that healing and really get that deliverance so you can finally experience that freedom.